Hello everyone and welcome to another Clips and Tips. I think this is episode 5 now, and we're in the polytunnel at the very back of the plot, and these are Crimson Crush tomatoes. Again, you're probably getting sick of me hearing me talking about these, but these are the ones grown from side shoots, the first generation. The second generation are in a small polytunnel that's coming down shortly. We've had a lot of fruit off this, and there's probably another £5 or £6 to pick off today, so we've got fresh tomatoes for the next week, 10 days, whilst the rest ripen. If they don't, in about a week, maybe 2 weeks, I'll actually take these plants down, dig the soil over it and plant it. I'm digging a bed in here now because I've got other things to go in, things like spinach and some mustards and a bit more lettuce, so getting that ready. But today on this episode we've got a marvellous tip from Jane's Allotment. Now, she uses notebooks like I never did, and I used notebooks when I first started gardening, and I harp on about this to many people. If you're new to gardening, write down what you're doing, write down the weather, the soil, write down as much information as you can, because next year it'll pay you back in spades. But she keeps notebooks all the time. I stopped doing it after 5 or 6 years and started storing it up here. But she keeps the most beautiful notebooks and draws out her bed plans and designs and things out in them. But right at the end of her clip, which I'm going to show you in a second, she's got a fantastic clip that I never ever thought about. So here's Jane at Jane's Allotment. Enjoy.
If you are anything like me, one of the opportunities that we can take from the dark winter months, where perhaps we're not able to go up to the garden as much as we'd like to and indulge in all the excitement that we have in spring, summer and autumn, is to actually sit down, look back at what we have done the previous year and plan out what we're going to do the next year. And one of the ways I do that is every year, round about Christmas time, I put out a call for some sort of diary or notebook or anything that takes my fancy, which I will use the following year to do just that. So to keep my notes, to keep some sort of record so that I can use it as a reference diary. I might use it for drawing a plan, an outline of what the garden is going to look like the following year. These plans are rarely stuck to, but it's a nice thing to do on a rainy winter afternoon. I might use it to record all my seed lists, so I know exactly what seeds I'm going to be having, what date I'm going to plant them, when, and when I'm going to harvest them. I've got how many books here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and an odd seed list that's fallen out of one of them. Okay, 6 books. That represents 6 years of note-taking. And at any one time, these books could be in various different corners of the house. However, somebody pointed out to me recently something that I thought was a little bit genius. Rather than having all your information separated into all these different books, why not make life easy on yourself and treat yourself, as I've done, to a 5-year diary? You can then pick up your diary next year and think, oh, right, it's April the 10th today. What have I done in the last few years on April the 10th? And instead of having to root through all of these, we can just go to this one particular diary, find April the 10th, and you will be able to look back on a series of 5 years. Obviously, there's nothing in this yet because I haven't started it. But you'll be able to look back on that date on each of the previous 5 years to see exactly what you've done. One book, I've got a nice bright colour so it'll stand out from the others. And it's something that I'm just going to be able to put my hands on, and it will save me scrabbling around trying to get all these together. So it seems like such a simple idea, but I really, really hope that this is going to help with my seed diarising and my garden diary next year. And I hope it might be something that will inspire you to put it on your Christmas list.
Thank you so much, Jane. That's a brilliant tip, and I think I'm going to have to steal it. I definitely think so. The links to Jane's channel are down in the description. Don't forget to go and have a look at Jane's channel and subscribe over there. She's a wondrous gardener, and thanks again, Jane, for taking part and appearing on my channel. I very much appreciate it. So in mid to late summer, I used these 2 containers to grow some plants, and I had basil and I forget what else I had in. I had a melon plant and some green beans. I was just trying, because this is Crack Key gardening, and this was developed by the guy named Crack Key, and it's a form of hydroponic gardening. And what it is you are growing in water, and the water has got all the feed in that the plant needs. Your plants go in one of these little baskets, and they go in without the soil, just bare roots, and you use these clay pebbles to weight your plant down in the basket, hold it in place, and that's the idea. Then that goes and sits in the water in the tub and grows away nicely. And it was quite phenomenal. I featured it a few times through the summer, of the root mass that was underneath, which I just don't think you'll get from growing a plant in the ground. And the idea is, as the plant takes up the nutrients and drinks the water level drops, and the roots that then come out of the bottom of there are in a dead air space, if you like, before they touch the water, and those turn into the air roots, which is how the plant gets its air. So it's a good little system, and it seemed to work really well. And I'm going to try grow some other plants now over the winter in it, and then again I'll try it a bit better next year. Now this is all new to me. This is something I wouldn't advise you to run off and go and try for yourselves without first watching this all the way through, because there's some caveats with it. Now when you're using the feed with this, it puts salt into the water, and I measure it with this truncheon, which is no cheap thing in itself, and you'll see the lights coming on telling you where your feed level is at. But that affects the pH of the water, and then you start needing to buy some of these things. This is a pH down and a pH up, and then of course to test the pH you need one of these little testers as well. So it starts on, you buy these little cages, and you buy the bag of gravel, and you buy the feed that goes in the water. So I haven't quite worked it out yet, and I'll put it in on a later video, all the costs, but for now it is fairly expensive, so it's not necessarily something you want to get involved in straight away. I'm doing this for interest value, because I've never done hydroponics or Crack Key, and I'm a gardener and I want to try it, and I've seen possibilities with it. So anyway, I'll use those 2 tubs early in the year. I've now got these 6 barrels. I think these hold 60 litres each, and again there's a hole drilled in the top ready for a little basket to go in, and I'm going to try them. These are overkill for what I'm going to grow in them this season, but next year through the summer season I'm intending to use these either for chilies or for normal peppers, or a combination of the both. But I'm going to try these with my nemesis this year, which are these fellas, my Chinese cabbage. And I always try and grow them at this time of the year, because somebody told me once you can't, and I've always wanted to prove that wrong, just because that's me. But I say I've got little plants in here, but what I need to do with them first is wash these roots off. Don't want the soil in this system, so I'll go and rinse these, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how these go in the basket, and we'll crack on with it. Right, so I have my washed plant. There's still a bit of compost in there, but what true hydroponics use, they use rock wool, and they grow their seeds directly in that to avoid this, but I'm not too concerned about that. But take your pot, and then you just want to fill it with the clay gravels. This is how I understand it. As I say, I'm no expert on this. This is all new to me, but I'm just having a go to see what it's like basically and how it works. So, well, that one's broken. Get rid of that. So there we go. It's in its little basket, straight in the water, and that should grow away happily. but it is a Chinese cabbage. It is my nemesis, and I'll just fill all these little trays up with it, and that is it. So that's those Chinese cabbage in. As I say, these tubs are definitely a bit overkill, but just want to see if how the method works. That's more of what I'm exploring here, and I'm just doing it for my own benefit. Don't know a great deal about it as yet, so I'm just testing for my own benefit, because it's another branch of gardening that I've never really exposed myself to. So we'll see how that goes. I'll put some lettuce in one of these containers, maybe a couple of other cabbage in the other one. We'll see. I'll sort that out. But for now, that's it for these. Many thanks to Jane for her wondrous tip. The tip, and especially the ending of her clip, was so good that I'm actually thinking of taking that on board and doing it myself. I'll use it for a slightly different use, but I think it's such a good thing that I can't ignore it. So I'll be getting one of those, Jane. Thanks very much. And don't forget, the links to Jane's channel are down in the description below. Go over and have a look, over her channel and subscribe over there. But for today, that's it. Please look after yourselves, everyone, and stay safe, and I'll see you all very soon. Ta-ra now.